Hello, everyone, and welcome back to English Learning Key. I'm Anna, and I'm really happy that you've joined me again today. This is the place where we learn English step by step in a simple, practical, and encouraging way. Every lesson here is designed to help you become more confident, more comfortable, and more natural when using English in your daily life. Today, we are going to talk about something many English learners struggle with: listening. More specifically, we will talk about how movies and podcasts can improve your English faster. Let me start by asking you a question. Have you ever watched a movie in English and felt a little lost? Maybe the actors spoke too fast. Maybe they used expressions you didn't recognize. Or maybe you understood some words, but not the full meaning of the conversation. If that has happened to you, don't worry at all. This is a very normal experience for English learners. Many learners believe that movies and podcasts are only for advanced students. They think that they need perfect grammar or a very large vocabulary before they can start using these resources. But the truth is exactly the opposite. Movies and podcasts are actually some of the most powerful tools you can use to improve your English naturally and quickly. The reason is simple. When you watch movies or listen to podcasts, you are hearing real English. You are hearing how people actually speak in everyday life. You hear natural pronunciation, real conversations, emotional tone, common expressions, and the rhythm of the language. Textbooks can teach grammar rules and vocabulary, but movies and podcasts teach you how English truly sounds in real situations. Think about how you learned your first language as a child. You didn't start by studying grammar books. Instead, you listened to people around you. You heard conversations, stories, jokes, and everyday communication. Your brain slowly absorbed the language through listening. The same thing happens when you expose your brain to English through movies and podcasts. The more you listen, the more your brain becomes familiar with the sounds and patterns of English. At first, you may only understand a few words. That's completely okay. Over time, your brain begins to recognize more vocabulary, more sentence structures, and more meaning. Gradually, understanding becomes easier. One of the biggest advantages of movies is that they combine language with visual context. When you watch a movie, you can see the characters, their expressions, their actions, and the situation they are in. These visual clues help your brain understand the meaning, even if you don't catch every single word. For example, imagine a scene where two friends meet at a cafe. One character smiles and says something while pointing to a menu. Even if you don't catch every word, you can guess that they are talking about ordering food or drinks. Your brain uses the visual information to fill the gaps in understanding. This makes learning more natural and less stressful. Podcasts, on the other hand, are powerful because they train your listening skills in a different way. When you listen to a podcast, you focus completely on the sound of the language. You begin to notice pronunciation, sentence rhythm, and the way ideas are connected in spoken English. Podcasts are also very flexible. You can listen while walking, commuting, exercising, cooking, or relaxing. This means you can practice English during moments of the day that might otherwise be unused. Even listening to English for 15 or 20 minutes a day can make a big difference over time. But here is an important point. Simply watching a movie or listening to a podcast is helpful, but the real improvement happens when you interact with the content actively. Let's talk about how you can use movies more effectively for learning English. First, choose movies that are enjoyable for you. If you like the story, the characters, and the theme, you will stay motivated to watch and learn. Some learners prefer romantic comedies, others like action movies, and some enjoy animated films. The genre does not matter as long as you enjoy it. Next, start by watching with English subtitles. Subtitles help you connect spoken words with written words. When you see the sentence on the screen and hear it at the same time, your brain learns faster. Pay attention to how certain phrases are used in conversation. For example, you might notice expressions like, "What's going on?" "No problem," "I'll be right back," or "That sounds great." These are very common phrases used in everyday English. When you hear a phrase that sounds useful, pause the movie and repeat the sentence out loud. Try to copy the pronunciation and rhythm of the speaker. This technique helps you develop more natural speaking patterns. Another helpful strategy is watching short scenes multiple times. The first time, focus on understanding the general idea of the conversation. The second time, pay attention to specific words and phrases. The third time, try repeating the dialogue with the characters. By repeating scenes, you train your brain to recognize the sounds more clearly and remember the expressions more easily. Now let's talk about how podcasts can help you improve your English faster. Podcasts are especially useful because they expose you to many different speaking styles. Some podcasts are casual conversations, some are interviews, and others are storytelling programs. This variety helps your brain adapt to different accents, speaking speeds, and ways of expressing ideas. When you first start listening to a podcast, don't worry about understanding every single word. Instead, focus on the main idea. Ask yourself simple questions like, what is the topic? Who is speaking? What are they discussing? Understanding the overall message is more important than catching every detail. You can also pause the podcast occasionally and repeat interesting sentences. This helps improve both listening and speaking skills at the same time. Another great practice is summarizing what you heard. After listening to a short section, try to explain it in your own words. For example, you might say, "In this podcast, they talked about traveling and shared some funny experiences." This exercise forces your brain to organize information in English and express it clearly. One challenge many learners face is that native speakers sometimes talk very fast in movies and podcasts. At first, this can feel overwhelming, but remember that your brain simply needs time to adjust. The more you listen, the more familiar the sounds become. Words that once sounded unclear begin to stand out. Phrases that once seemed too fast begin to feel natural. It's similar to listening to music. The first time you hear a new song, you may not catch every lyric, but after hearing it several times, you begin to recognize the words easily. Your brain learns language through repetition and exposure. Another helpful technique is choosing podcasts designed for learners. These programs often speak a little slower and explain useful vocabulary. As your listening skills improve, you can gradually move to podcasts made for native speakers. Consistency is the most important factor in this process. Watching one movie in English every few months will not create big changes, but listening to English regularly, even for a short time every day, will gradually transform your understanding. Try creating a small daily routine. For example, you might listen to a podcast for 15 minutes in the morning, or watch a short scene from a movie in the evening. These small habits build strong language skills over time. It is also important to stay patient with yourself. Learning to understand natural English takes time. Sometimes you will feel progress quickly, and sometimes improvement will feel slower. That is completely normal. The key is to continue exposing your brain to English again and again. Little by little, your listening ability will grow stronger. As your listening improves, something else happens too. Your speaking improves as well. This happens because listening and speaking are closely connected. When your brain becomes familiar with the rhythm and patterns of English, it becomes easier to produce those patterns when you speak. You begin to use phrases you have heard in movies or podcasts. Your pronunciation becomes clearer because you are copying natural speech. Your confidence grows because the language starts to feel familiar rather than foreign. Eventually, you will notice a surprising change. Conversations that once sounded too fast will become easier to follow. Expressions that once confused you will suddenly make sense. Your brain will begin predicting what speakers might say next. This is a sign that your listening skills are developing strongly. Remember that learning English is not only about studying rules. It is also about experiencing the language in real situations. Movies and podcasts bring the language to life. They show how people express emotions, tell stories, solve problems, and communicate ideas. They make English feel alive and meaningful rather than just academic. So, if you want to improve your English faster, start using movies and podcasts as part of your learning routine. Choose content you enjoy, listen regularly, repeat useful sentences, and stay curious about the language you hear. Over time, your ears will become more comfortable with English, your brain will process the language more quickly, and your speaking will become smoother and more confident. Thank you so much for spending this time learning with me today. Keep practicing, stay consistent, and remember that every minute you spend listening to English helps your brain grow stronger. I'm really proud of the effort you are making to improve your English. Keep going, keep learning, and I'll see you in the next episode of English Learning Key.